I went for the closest thing to acting that I could think of, film studies, because I figured it was better to want to hold the camera than to want to play in front of it. But I continued to act after school, and once that was done, that chapter, though I had learned a lot and I had been passionate about my education, I still did not feel that my life was in the right gear. I moved back to Kenya in a state of personal crisis, still wondering what my life was to be about. I was disappointed that at age 25, I was still feeling lost and confused. And I was worried that at the rate I was going, I would never figure it out. My indecision and self-denial were becoming healthy breeding grounds for fear. I sought advice from people I respected in Kenya, and as they dispelled their advice, I sat across from them, and I felt so envious of their clarity and their ability to pursue their dreams. Why couldn't I be like that? I coveted their dreams. When I met with a director, I wanted to be a director. When I met with a producer, I wanted to be a producer. I even met with a copyright lawyer and thought that was a dream for me. I looked for all sorts of jobs that were related. As a journalist, a TV anchor, an MC, nothing worked and nothing stuck. When people don't do what they want, they don't know what to do, said author Marty Rubin. There was no saving me from the agony of indecision until I stopped running away from myself and listened to myself. I took a time out, silenced the voices, stopped the chatter, and really thought about what would make me happy. I admitted it. First to myself, and then out loud. That what I wanted more than anything was to make believe for a living. I wept, as I am doing now, because it was so hard. Seems like this is what I do best, really. I wept because it was so hard to admit that I wanted to be something so improbable and impractical for a Kenyan like myself. It felt like a lofty pipe dream, really. But deep down, I was overjoyed because I was finally speaking the truth about what made me feel most alive. And it wasn't real until I shared it. John Lennon put it best: a dream you dream alone is only a dream. A dream you dream together is reality. Once it is uttered and you have taken ownership of it, the destination is taken care of and the journey can begin. And so I got down to the most important work, figuring out what steps would get me to being an actor, the actor I wanted so badly to be. I had an action plan, something to work towards, getting into the Yale School of Drama for acting training. To go after my goal to attend the Yale School of Drama meant that I would have to confront my fear of failure, of not being good enough. I knew it was a great acting program, and I wanted to be at the best program possible if I was to really give this acting thing a fair shot. But I felt inexperienced. We didn't have a theater library in Kenya. For the audition, I worked on one monologue that I'd picked up in a speech class when I was 12, and on another from Shakespeare's Juliet, whom I had played when I was 14. Mind you, I'm 25 at this point. I had no other choices, and so I made do. As I boarded the plane to the US, there were naysayers in my head telling me I was crazy, that I shouldn't even bother. Over 900 people audition for 15 spots each year. And yet there was a part of me that knew I could do it, even when the part of me that said it was impossible was louder. Our dreams arise from our imaginations. They belong to us. We owe it to ourselves to try and realize them. To encourage myself, I wrote in my diary on the 23rd of August, 2008, I have this dream to and desire to be an actor, and it dwarfs me. But it is my dream, goddammit. I made it up. How can what I dream up defeat me? And then I got into Yale. This prestigious school where acting heavyweights like Meryl Streep and Angela Bassett honed their craft. Mind you, at Yale, Meryl is so legendary that we just refer to her as the Streep. I was overjoyed. This was a gift I was given, an opportunity to immerse myself in my craft, surrounded by people of equal and greater talent. They had accepted me, and I had to prove to them and to myself that I deserved to be there. I couldn't afford to fail. I had traveled too far for that, and I had defied what was expected of me in my community. Too much was at stake. My dream was in motion, and it was very much in my own hands now. And I had every intention to work hard and excel at everything I did. But I would very quickly learn that in acting school, things weren't that straightforward. Acting is not like math, where there is only one correct answer to the problem, and once you've figured out the formula, you're all set. In acting, like in life, sometimes coming up with the wrong answer to the problem is the best way to figure out the formula for yourself. In acting school, you are expected to fail, and fail publicly a lot. It is the constant exposure to failure that frees you from the strongholds of the ego and allows you to embrace vulnerability. And it is in embracing vulnerability that you can surprise yourself in performance and share something really special about human nature. I'll give you an example. Imagine now that you've been singled out from this crowd, just as you are. You're told that your goal is to make everybody laugh. The instructions are to leave the room and return with enthusiasm and do something great without having a clue what that might be. And you can't use words or props or anything. Now, I don't know about you, but that terrifies me, especially because laughter is the one thing that an audience never lies about. They only give it to you when they're really tickled. This was an exercise from a clown class at Yale. Now, not the painted clown with the painted face and the red nose and the big shoes and baggy trousers that you find at a circus. No, the clown I'm talking about is the simple, innocent fool that lives inside all of us. The child within us that we've spent most of our lives hiding under layers of intelligence, sensibility, sophistication, and social cool. The one who gets great joy in making others happy and finds the fun in turning off and on a light bulb and is devastated by the pop of a balloon. There is nothing as embarrassing and uncomfortable as trying to make people laugh and hearing nothing but silence in response. When it was my turn to get up and do the exercise, I tried all sorts of buffoonery. I flapped my arms like a bird, I rolled on the floor, I jumped up and down, and I didn't believe I was particularly funny, and I was desperate to find something to hide behind. I was fresh out of ideas, and there had still not been a single laugh in the room. Eventually, my teacher called me out, Chris Bays. He said, "You failed, Lupita, haven't you?" And at that point, I let it all go and broke down and cried audibly. It was only then that everyone in the room burst out laughing. Because I had finally allowed myself to be honest and truthful and open with them. My inner fool came out to play only once I had put my ego aside. And so, it was not until I had opened myself up to the possibility of failing that I was able to find success in clown class. Without the possibility of being bad, you will never be extraordinary. And so, I resolved to operate from a sense of self that was louder than my critic and faster than my worry. It is only in that space that you can truly be free and innovate.